Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our famous CRM Convo show with the even more famous guests we have from Zoho today. And as things are moving fast, we are at an unusual time, as we normally are on Tuesdays, and we have a different timing. We are earlier than you would normally find us on your screens. So luckily, we managed some challenges with the technical challenges we are meeting day by day, and we are going forward. And I'm more than happy that we have this CRM Convo slightly a bit different. It is a bit, as you learned, on a different day. It is on a different time, and it will be a bit shorter. But focus and having such enthusiastic guests, we are driving you through a lot of news which is going to happen right now. We will start with Ram. Ram Ramamoorthy is Director of AI and Machine Learning, Research and Managed Engine. He started at Zoho in 2011, and since he then contributed to Zoho's AI capabilities in various roles. So to say in a friendly way, but joking, he's mama and papa of what is in AI happening these days to a certain point. And I was luckily meeting him as Thomas already and Marshall on other occasions, and we're looking forward to have that interesting conversation we have prepared with some questions. We will stay on time. Our Marshall is also our guiding light in doing the time management. And later, after we have had the pleasure in talking with Ram on what's going on and how things are moving forward, we will have the opportunity to meet Mani Vembu. Mani is the COO of Zoho Corp, Zoho's umbrella company that includes the Zoho Managed Engine, Grundrill, and all the Zoho solutions you would know if you are already a Zoho user, such as in your Zoho One, the Biz app company, to say so. And he has been part of the company for over 20 years. A matter of fact, he's also Sridhar Vembu's brother, and he oversees the platform direction of Zoho and is also working closely to develop the product vision and direction of the CX parts and the EX, employee experience parts, and so much more. And he is also a big fan of Zoho Canvas, which is one of the thrilling things. Ram, seeing you again is a big fun. So what is new? What is new with AI at Zoho? Last year, we saw Zia answering the question why. Do we see now more of answering the what and what to do? And I just saw the Newswire announcement that we have now 4 elements in artificial intelligence coming from Zoho. The floor is yours.
All right. So we've been talking about contextual intelligence and right-sizing models over the last year. And now, as a part of expansion, we see that the world is moving towards agents. And I think agents are a good piece of technology. They are something that is going to bridge the gap between the semi-structured and unstructured nature of LLMs with the highly structured enterprise. So agents are going to bring LLMs closer to the enterprise, and that's what we announced yesterday. We have built our agentic platform. We're calling it Agent Studio, where you can create agents, where you can deploy them, and we strongly believe agents are the new apps. And we've had apps, and then we have had low-code, no-code platforms to build these apps. The same thing is happening to agents. So agents can operate on the structured information on the enterprise and can connect to LLMs, which can bring in broader summarization, paraphrasing capabilities, transcription capabilities, and so on. So I think it's a marriage made in heaven, since we talked about mother and father of being Zoho's AI. So it's a natural evolution of technology.
Yourself.
Well, there might be a short discussion after my provocative statement that Sridhar says, now we have changed a bit the roles, me being chief scientist. Now, my urgent question, out of curiosity, honestly, is here, agents are there to support, or do you see also the capability of replacing certain roles? What is the Zoho way of that approach?
I think
Supportive?
we strongly believe in augmenting it. It's not going to replace. It's going to pick a lot of 80% problems in your organization, meaning problems that can be solved with 80% accuracy and not 100% problems, never 100% problems. Today, you're going to deploy an agent or an AI into a 100% problem, you're going to go back disappointed. But put that into 80% problem, there is going to be a productivity boost. And we have seen that productivity boost to be in terms of percentages and not in terms of multiples. I mean, the hype trail says there is a 10x improvement in productivity, but actually in reality, there's only a 10% improvement in productivity. And broadly, it's going to be the next best action for the human to do, whatever it could be. You've had a high value lead come into your CRM, what's the next best action? You've had an escalation to the customer, what's the next best action? You have a meeting with your stand-up meeting with your team, go to projects, fetch all the information. How do I prep for the meeting? That's the next best action. So it's going to augment humans at all layers, and it's going to give you the next best action to do at any given point in time.
Lovely.
That opens a question, because last year Sridhar was quite confident that he'll get a 10x developer improvement.
Right.
Yesterday he even talked about 100x.
Right.
In terms of development improvement. So what do you think? When do you think you're getting out of percentages into multiples?
Right.
Single-digit multiples.
Especially in programmer productivity, I think that is where AI has had the higher levels of impact, because it's like Sridhar said, it's a lot of boilerplate. It's a lot of redundant stuff. Like the legal agreements could be a good parallel. You only have about 2-3 paragraphs of meat in a legal agreement, but a legal agreement is always about 30 pages, right? Same thing with programming today. You write a lot of boilerplate and then you cut to the core logic in about 50-100 lines of code. So now that boilerplate is going to be augmented. That boilerplate is going to be automatically generated. And the meat is in your business logic, which works okay with your prompt. So that puts in a lot of developer productivity. So writing, programming, I would assume, I know I was too young, but when we transition from assembly languages to languages like C and Java, I'm sure there would have been a boost in productivity, right? You don't have to type in assembly and then you have this beautiful Java, which is closer to English. Now it's just English. So programmer productivity is something that is already seeing multiple productivity today. But take an enterprise software. We are only seeing 10% because there are a lot of other variables. There has to be connected processes, connected data, how digitally mature your ecosystem is. All of that comes into play.
Lovely.
So in terms of that return on value, though, is that merely a matter of time, or do we need more imagination, more imaginative use cases? And what do you think they may be?
Yeah, I think in fact, a lot of my team spends time on finding out these use cases. Where do you get value? We work with a lot of bigger enterprises so we are somebody with an AI stack trying to solve problems, and enterprises and our customers are people who have some problems to solve and try and see how AI could really help them. So we're trying to draw out that bridge, because the thing is, agents have democratized LLMs coming into the enterprise. Take something like GDPR. You have this right to forget. And it's very difficult to implement right to forget in LLMs, because you never know what the LLM is learning, what patterns has it memorized, when will it reveal them? You never know that. Okay, you say, for instance, you go give a prompt, hey, forget that I asked you about this question. And 2 minutes later, you go back and ask, what did I ask you to forget? It's going to tell you what it asked you to forget. Now bring in agents. Agents are going to connect to that structured enterprise information. And when somebody exercises their right to forget, they are wiped off from the database. So your agent looks up the database and says that there is no particular information from this customer. So it's that bridge that brings LLMs more deployable, more adaptable for the enterprise. So that's the way I see it.
Cool. And as there is that drive into the AI agents, such as that we have now 4 flavors of AI in Zoho
Right.
integrated. I was curious if Zoho might open up to the AI solutions in the open source arena and
Right.
make access of this, such as the story, the elephant in the room. Will you utilize DeepSeek, or is there an opportunity to go for anything which is coming on the open source basis and gets then a Zoho flavor?
Great question. Thank you. So I think we have something called as an AI bridge today. So the first implementation is a self-hosted open source LLM. So there is a Llama, there is a Mistral, there is DeepSeek pipeline, but it's still hosted within Zoho's data centers. And then you have your own data LLM providers as well. I mean, the ChatGPTs of the world, the Anthropic, the Coheres of the world. So it's this AI bridge that connects Zoho's ecosystem, and the default would be self-hosted open source LLM as on date, and you can change it. There is also a foundational model that we are building as well, and we've been doing it since 2022, but we are taking it at our own pace because the technology changes so much. So LLM was one thing, now chain of thoughts is another thing, now reasoning engine is another thing. So and we don't want to release it half-heartedly because there's a lot of sanity checks to be run. You don't want the LLM to be biased, and you don't want to be in the news, right? So still keeping it under wraps, but we are dogfooding a lot of it. We're dogfooding a lot of our own foundational model. But for our customers, as on date, it's going to be open source self-hosted LLMs as the default choice. And they have an option if they have an enterprise account with OpenAI, if they have an enterprise account with Google, then they might as well connect to Google Vortex or ChatGPT, depending on their relationship with them.
So technically, you're doing something similar that Amazon, for example, does with Bedrock. Yeah?
Right, because I think there's a lot going on there. It's important to give the variety to customers. I mean, we also integrate with a lot of other third-party tools, right? So think of this as the same way where customers have a choice. I mean, they don't want to be stuck with Zoho's own offering, but at the same time, we make sure that the privacy is well taken care of. There is some sensitive information. It's not more like that cookie reminder, but it's very contextual. We will have to build the context in such a way that even though there is an LLM, what do I send to the LLM is still at the business logic of Zoho. So we're very consciously doing it right now.
Now, that's actually, well, choice is always great news in my book. And self-hosting even more so, especially when we are looking into all those funny models that are capable of doing funny things and maybe along with the applications have a tendency to play ET. There's another thing that we had last year. So last year, and it's also great news that you're building your own foundation model, by the way.
Yeah, super.
Still last year, there was a tendency to say, hey, I exaggerate a little, who the heck needs a large model when you can do the same, faster, more efficient, with an orchestration of smaller models.
Right.
Is that statement still true?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Was there let's say, evolution of thinking?
No, absolutely, Thomas. We still strongly believe right-sizing models will help. A single monolith large language model is not going to solve everything. There are places where you need emergent behavior. Go with the larger models. There are places where you can do with the small ML models, which has much higher accuracy and precision levels than a larger language model. And it's like, let's take receipt digitization. It's things, your incoming images are only going to be receipts. You don't need a human segmentation model in receipt digitization. So by right-sizing the models, we get two advantages. One is we are able to offer cheaper inference. Now, forget training. That happens at the back end. That happens as a bad job. But inference happens every day, every minute, and we see AI usage increase. And if I'm able to save on compute, I'm going to pass on that value to that customers. If I have to splurge for GPUs for every little thing, for every anomaly detection, for every forecasting, for every escalation prediction, then I'm going to spend a lot of money, and ultimately I'm going to pass on that to customers. So I don't want to use an LLM where there is no emergent behavior, so machine learning models work. And then there are cases where you need to understand some context. For example, auto-assigning a support ticket to a human support agent would need reading the ticket, understanding what it means. Again, a medium model is good enough. You don't need a larger language model because you're not going to generate anything. But when you're trying to generate a response to that answer, that's when you need a large language model. Now, if I'm going to do everything on a large language model, I will need GPUs for inference for every part of the pipeline. And that's going to be expensive. And there are certain cases, especially in things like security, in things like IT, where you need the bespoke models. For example, in our own data centers, we use causal graphs, right? Where symptoms always don't cause diseases, right? But symptoms always show up first. So in the IT environment, if something is going to go wrong, your database servers are too slow. That's the first alert that you would get. But that is because your web server is overloaded. That is because one of your EC2 instances went down. So you get the drift, right? You put them on a bigger causal graph, see what is causing what. You might get these symptoms out of the wrong place first, but what is the root cause of this? And an LLM is not capable of solving it today. Think of something like an email security stack. You need to understand, is there a call for action? You need to analyze the mail headers. There are over 150 variables in email headers. Then if there is an attachment, you need to see if it's a ransomware or a malware. If there is a link, you have to open that in a headless browser and see if the top level domain and the fav icons are in different domains, find out the age of the domain, find out the Alexa rank of the domain, right? You have so many things going on, and these are independent models, right? These models combine together and then put that onto a decision tree, see if that email is a threat or not. So this is the way we're doing it. Right sizing the models is here to stay. That has a huge impact on compute. That has a huge impact on the amount of data that is needed for an organization to bootstrap these AI models. That way we're able to give the privacy guarantee as well. I can bootstrap your model with only your data and not with your competitor data, and not the competitor's data with your model. So privacy and savings in computing means right sizing the models and not throwing everything at LLMs. That's where we are.
The question is price. What is inside and what is on top? That would be marvelous if you can help us and the audience a bit in that perspective, please.
Sure. I think so far it's $0 for all of the contextual intelligence. Even with agents, we are working with a few of our bigger key customers right now. We haven't opened it yet. We will be looking at public availability later this year. Even with agents, honestly, we don't know how to price it. Because you open the internet and you see, oh, I am running a SaaS business. I fired all my employees. I'm doing everything with agents. I'm sure you'd all have come up some LinkedIn post or some Twitter, some X post like this. But the reality, marketing is far ahead of reality in AI. We tried deploying agents into our own systems. So our own legal team, a couple of product support teams in Zoho, we deployed agents. And we were trying to honestly see what's the productivity improvement. We were tracking metrics like, so this was into their customer support portal. We were tracking metrics like mean time taken to respond. We were tracking metrics like number of tickets solved in a week. We were tracking metrics like reduction in escalations after agents have been deployed. And to be honest, we were seeing improvements between 10 and 30%. It was never 10x. It was never 30x, forget 100x. So we are trying to understand what is the productivity impact out of this. Again, our goal is we will not nickel and dime customers, right? So think of Zoho One. You have a lot of apps. All of them, you use it for, it's a part of the subscription. The same way we see AI as a part of the subscription. It's very similar to iPhone, right? I mean, you don't pay for Apple Intelligence separately. You just pay for the phone and things are bundled with it. I think that's the way we are going down.
But then Apple has premium pricing right out of the box.
Anyhow, I love your approach. Instead of as much as you eat, you have to pay for each bite. I encourage you to process in that approach, as you will get a lot of more learnings, also not only from own usage, but from your customers, which they are happy to share, because sharing with you is innovating and helping to get an even better product.
Right. I think the next year is all about experimenting with this, and not just within us, and see what is the actual value. Is it a differentiator? See, for somebody like a solopreneur, we have a product called Zoho Solo, which solopreneurs can use. Now, if they can get email follow-up assistance, if they can get lead nurturing assistants, lead nurturing agents, then it makes a lot of sense to their productivity. But bring that to a big organization. How much of a productivity impact is there? So we are studying all of that. Again, we will not nickel and dime customers is the promise.
Love that.
A little earlier, you said something very interesting, which decision tree, basically. Decision tree to me points into the direction of automation.
Right.
So now, and this is honestly what AI, quote unquote, is used for these days.
Right.
So now we have the tendency of what you just said before, that large models are sort of less than reliable.
Yeah.
And in an automation process, you want exactly that. So where do you see the question one, the boundary between using AI models versus RPA, for example, on one hand, and for a closing, actually, what would be the real value scenarios coming up that you do see?
Yeah, so I think RPA is more of when you don't have APIs to interact. But today, LLMs are able to look at a system, go and we saw examples of computer use, right? So I think it is still automation, but there is some aspect of generation as well. There is some aspect of summarizing. There's some aspect of paraphrasing. There is some aspect of converting semi-structured information to structured information. Oh, we do this call. This becomes a transcript, and somebody can come and ask a question. What are the top 3 takeaways? What word did Ram Prakash use the most? Now you make this analytics ready, and that's what we're doing in Zoho as well. So all our agents and our AI stack is built on our search platform, right? So now our search is RAG ready, and the idea is this comes with privacy first underpinnings, right? I'm not able to search through my boss's emails. I'm not able to search through my colleagues' emails, and I can only search through what data I have access to. Now, with a stronger permission and governance layer like Zoho Directory, you can limit access to the agents on what they are able to see because they are tied to the Zoho Directory. Now that becomes a differentiator, that becomes an important piece because you need access controls, you need audit trails. It's not going to be easy if you're going to automate a lot of stuff using agents and something goes wrong, you will have to make it audit ready. You don't want analytics or automation happening over somebody's data from your same organization because there is an individual boundary, there's an org boundary, and it is a far more productive RPA, but it's also it can also cut through privacy boundaries if wrongly implemented. So we are taking stringent measures to make sure we get the power of automation at a multiple of a thing like RPA, but respecting the privacy boundaries, respecting broader compliance laws like GDPR and all of that.
Let's come back a little to pricing, as we can't pester money with that. So you will become our go-to victim for that.
We got you now.
Yep, you made the mistake of coming here. Sridhar yesterday said something very interesting, actually. Right. So based on the backdrop of DeepSeek basically being the big-time commoditizer of language models, of LLMs, basically.
Yeah.
So what he basically says is, going forward, an LLM can't be charged for.
Right.
Simple as.
Right.
So, which has obviously an impact on first of those model providers and then on business applications vendors or any vendors using this. Right. So what he suggested is that he can think of is that pricing models even for business software, you said the agent will become the new software, basically. You said that too, that we are going into kind of an insurance premium, so that the value of business apps changes totally in the direction of trust, reliability. Well, reliable, there should be already now, accuracy, and that actually different values are paid for.
Right.
So in how realistic do you see that? I mean, it's an intriguing idea, but who will do that as being a business app vendor?
Right. I think Sridhar has always spoken about the structural overconsumption of software.
He's a forward-thinking guy.
Yeah. And my muscle memory is to just take whatever he says because I've seen him say things that were crazy 10 years back and they're a reality now. Right. So, for example, investing in our own data centers. When I joined the company, I was young and naive. I was an intern. I'm still young, though. That's a different story. But the thing is, why would somebody invest in a data center? Why can't you just use AWS, GCP, Azure? You can scale up, you can scale down when your traffic is weak. You can save a lot of cost. Why invest an army of engineers into architecting the operating system that goes to run in our data centers? And today, I look back and connect the dots. That's one of the biggest moats that we have. And modern day SaaS companies are just glorified resellers of compute. Now they are glorified resellers of AI. And ultimately, who's paying for it? The customer is paying for it, right? So I think we have to take this seriously. And Sridhar says this: power looms are coming to software productivity, software development productivity. When you can create apps at a fraction of the cost, at lightning fast speed, there's going to be too much of software. Now, how are you going to pay a premium? So even with LLMs, right? Horizontal LLMs are commoditized. It's going to be vertical. Vertical is going to be the next big piece. How do I customize? It's not about what product you sell. It's about what problem are you solving for the customer and how much are they ready to pay for it. And that's what we are waiting and observing with agents as well. How much of a productivity boost is there? Are we solving real problems? Is this technology capable enough to solve a problem so that they see a measurable impact in productivity? Or it's just, I'm doing AI for the sake of AI. Honestly, 2024, we're doing AI for the sake of AI. How much of an impact does it have? And then once this big, so we are into this age of creation, right? The standard example that I always give is, think about music industry. You started off with vinyl records, went to cassettes, went to CDs, went to MP3 downloads, and today you're streaming. Same thing with software. You started off with floppy disks, you went to CDs, you went to downloaded executables, now you are streaming software. And during all this process, what changed is distribution. You are able to reach 10,000 people via Spotify streaming your music much faster than you were able to do with selling CDs, right? But the time taken to create music has always remained constant. Maybe 10%, 20% tooling improvements. You don't need to have an orchestra of musicians. You just had iPads that could generate all these instruments by and do it. But those were tooling improvements. Same thing about software development. Distribution changed, but the time taken to create software has almost remained constant over the last 20, 30 years. Now you're able to create things really fast. It's the creator economy is being impacted. You're able to create things, music, videos, images, text, code, everything at a much faster pace. So this is definitely going to change over the next decade on the way we are pricing software, on the way we are pricing these tools, because there's going to be a ton of tools and you can create a lot of these yourselves just by doing prompts. Now, the value add comes from going deeper into verticals, going and solving specific problems that enterprise would have. That's the reason we just did launch agents. We also launched an agent studio so that it's a DIY where you can go in, use low-code, no-code tools, use prompts and build those agents. It's impossible for us to build all the agents that an enterprise would ever need. So give power to the customer so that they can come in and solve. And when we enable them to do that, they will see value in what we are offering. And I hope they continue to pay us. And I hope I could finish my mortgages before business software is completely free.
It's like the bulb, which is enlightening. I'm seeing and looking forward that we will have a fantastic opportunity to talk in near future on the return of AI investment and benefit approach, such as where is the real beef? I'm looking forward to this. This will be exciting.
Speaking of expanding products and 2024, you guys launched your own semiconductor last year, Selectric.
Right.
How do you think that is going to support your approach, whether in AI or in other product areas?
All right. So I think 1 year is a bit too early to talk about results, but I think it's one part of the piece, right? It's one part of the puzzle, and it will pay off because the goal is to build that technical know-how, and all of a sudden, let's say the pandemic struck, data sovereignty became an important thing. And we were doing data centers. We had to do data centers across the globe because every country had sovereignty rules that said your data should not leave the country. So I think it's a bigger, longer trajectory where it's not about manufacturing it, but it's about building that know-how so that all of a sudden, and we're already looking at restrictions, cross-border imports on so it's going to be one critical piece of technology. Your compute, your semiconductors are going to power everything that we do. Today, do we have the know-how? No, we don't have any know-how today. And this is more of a long game to invest in building that know-how. It's same thing like building our own AI stack, building our own found. So we started off in 2012, and it's taken us so far to showcase something of larger value. It's taken at least 6-7 years for us to get warmed up to that. And this is still the software game. And semiconductor is a whole different ball game. So the good thing is we have the time and patience to afford. Our investors are not behind our back. There is no share price if we do things faster, and we don't want to place these target bets on our shoulders and take it very seriously. So we're playing a very natural, organic game, and that it's one part of the piece. It'll pay off in the long run, but it won't be a quarter-on-quarter or a year-on-year thing. So it's one part of the missing piece, and we are investing heavily in that.
Cool. And it is keeping independent, and it is another step forward that you use your own dog food, even from the chips, to drive your own AI, to say so. Yeah.
Right.
Now, with Selectra, you pretty much own the whole stack from chip to to the software.
Yeah. I mean,
the missing link is in between is the server itself. So will you build the servers too?
We have an R&D unit that's working on building some storage infrastructure. Again, touching the little pieces, because these are software is our forte. These are areas that we are venturing into slowly. But you get the idea, right? It's all a big part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So
okay, so nothing really to talk about yet in that area.
Nothing yet. Yeah.
It's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
No. We need to have something to talk in the future as well, but it is quite a perspective. Interesting, very interesting. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now, as we are missing your boss.
I'm afraid you're going to have to keep talking.
Blessed is when I can go all day.
We'll pester you a little more.
With such amazing company, I can go all day.
You are dealing with AI and all sorts of, this type of technology the whole day.
Right.
So now, if you're looking back the past 14 years, meanwhile at Zoho, so you're almost as old as I am. No, I'm not. But what did change in your day at work since then?
Right. So that's a great question. I mean, if you think about it, the models of 2011, 2012 were so inherently complex. If you see the whole term data scientist, I mean, just about 2018, 2019, we had news articles that said data scientists are the highest paid in the software industry and all of that. Today, the term data scientist is diminishing, right? Because I think these LLMs have evolved so fast that you don't need to do anything. There is an architecture, there is some data. If you can afford the compute, you can train the model, right? So we were investing in a lot of math, in a lot of, we had to read a lot of paper. There are so many parameters that you have to tweak. There's a Bayesian optimization. There is this, that. So it was all very mathy, statistical thing. Cut to LLM, it's become more of a hardware thing. It's become more of a high-performance computing thing. Now you have so many GPUs. How do you make sure that you run these GPUs at scale? How do you make sure that the Ethernet cables that connect these GPU machines are up to capacity? Oh, there is something called InfiniBand. So we got a lot of know-how into building hardware. So the focus has shifted from doing integration, differentiation, mathematics. Yes, it is still all there, but we were doing it 80% of the time. Now we are doing it 50% of the time. The remaining 50% has gone into investing in high performance computing. So my team has learned a lot in the last couple of years to make sure that we run these GPUs at scale, at capacity, and that's a skill that we have learned. So the models have become easier and easier to do with, but the things around these models, which is the hardware, which is the way you build guardrails around this, have all gotten more complex over the years. So I would say the first 5 years were very different. The next 5 years were about getting these to customers, getting value out of it. And the next 5 years has a lot been about HPC and, right sizing models and whatever we spoke about in the last 30 minutes.
Cool. Now, let's have an opportunity. Thank you very much, Ram, that you gave us a lot of news, a lot of insights. and we would like to take it to the next step. Our
Absolutely.
next step is, to say so, knocking on the door, and we would like to
We should open the door.
have that opportunity of training the speakers. How the guys do it, I'm just looking forward. Thank you again, and the next time probably we have
me to you. Yeah, thank you.
meeting in flesh and blood would be marvelous. So that will be the interesting stuff when you are coming over to Europe again, or I have an opportunity to meet you elsewhere, which is marvelous, because meeting people in flesh and blood is the real beef. What my colleagues, which are so excited to have that live talking opportunity from Austin, from the Zoho event, are sharing with you and with me. Now, that having said, hello, Mani. It's a pleasure. First time meeting you virtually. The other guys are the lucky ones, which have you in flesh and blood. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I'm excited to be here, and I hope I'll keep this engaging and entertaining.
Oh well, we'll be sure of that. Let's start with congratulations, or
super.
We say condolences. I mean, this is a big job that you took over, and an exciting one. If I'm as far as I'm concerned, not if I'm concerned, I am. So, looking at Zoho, the business, or the platform vendor, the upcoming platform vendor, and industry trends. How do you match these two together? So what do you see as main trends that involve the industry and form and shape the industry, and with that also Zoho?
Yeah, so if you look at, say, business software market, so it has evolved over time. Say from being on-premise to cloud to say now we are the mobile era to now the AI era. So, but say how for businesses it is say especially say businesses which are non-IT and say in manufacturing and retail and real estate. So that how say they are looking at say technology as an enabler. So how from digitizing to moving towards more experience, say offering experience and then building operational efficiencies, say because that's one theme we have been hearing, say back from our customers, say where say they want to actually get more out of their technology investment, say they want to see say how they lead, say with the technology as a differentiator. So differentiator in terms of offering the experiences. So because when some industries become a commodity, then we have this discussion with our customers where they talk about say when the basic offering is a commodity, then how do we differentiate ourselves, say how do we, so in terms of experience, in terms of digital experience. So that's where say we find it exciting, so we from a purely a system of records say digitization effort initiatives, now it is moving towards system of experiences, and that's what say we are very excited about.
That is fascinating, Mani, and as I was, and I'm very curious always, I checked a bit, so I learned that you are more or less a lot behind the canvas approach, which is something which we deeply love, and that we saw the opportunity to go also with that freedom of creativity in the design, the UX, not only to make your own Zoho, but also to create the experiences for certain industries. Is there a chance that there is a path coming or knocking on the door, to say so, that you will do some sector stuff also for the smaller organizations?
Yes, of course. Like, right, say when we look at, say, the whole, say, our focus areas, one is definitely being the retail segment. We call it internally the small businesses, right? So that's been our, right, say, strength, and we definitely look at, like, right, say, optimizing their experiences. To give an example, so when we are transitioning, right, Zoho CRM from SMB to larger businesses and enterprises, making it a platform from product to platform. At the same time, we actually brought in Begin, right? So to ensure that the small business have that experience captured, right? So in terms of, like, right, say the canvas you were talking about, say we look at it like, say, not all users wants the same experience. Not all users across different industry wants the same experience. So it started with a conversation with the customer where they said their front office, the call center agents, they have muscle memory in using the software. So they want all the data to be compressed. And our standard UI didn't offer that. So that means, like, say, how do we empower them, right? Because they have a choice. They want that, right? Say they want that freedom. So they don't want to train their employees, and they don't want to scroll for between calls, right? Because the whole call will last for 30 seconds or 1 minute, and they can't scroll for information, right? So, and that's a realization for us. That means, right, say what we saw as, like, say, right, say good for one customer may not be good for the other, right? So that means, like, say, it's not one size fits all, right? So that means then we don't want to actually go and change the UI to fit that customer, because then the other customer is going to say that, oh, I want the UI to be more beautiful, right? Because my users don't have the muscle memory, because they don't, right, use it, like, say, 50 records a day, right? Say they may update like 5 records a day, right? Say an enterprise salesperson may update like 3 records a day, whereas a call center agent might update like 50 records a day, right? So that means, how do we differentiate these? Same way, what a manager wants to see a 360-degree view dashboard versus what a, right, salesperson want to do. So same, right? Say it is across all the, right, say platforms, we see this, right? Across all roles, we see this difference, right? So, and when we look back how we do it, then we felt that, right, say the whole design has a friction. That means, right, you have to design, then you have to code, and then you have to connect with the data, and then, right, so there are 3 layers where you first identify the visualization, and then you find, right, you connect with the data. So then we thought, oh, why don't we do that, right? So why don't we make it no code, make it low code? Whereas, like, right, they design for the database, right? So keeping the data in the mind, right? Say they drag and drop the fields, they say that, right, set the conditions there, all the rules, and then, right, say the magic happens, right? So they don't have to write any code. So, and that also makes the backward compatibility easier, right? So that means all the design that they do are backward compatible. That's on us. That's on the platform vendor. That's not on the designer, right? So they don't have to worry about, oh, if new functionality comes into, say, that module, then they don't have to go and code again, right? So rather, we ensure that it gets into that canvas, right? So that's how we see it.
The magic happens with the user acceptance. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Now you mentioned that, well, different lines of businesses and different industries having different requirements and different types of muscle memory. So you are going into industry solutions. We heard a lot of it today, yesterday, even more yesterday than today. We also heard a lot about AI yesterday. So now every company is only that big and can do only that much at the same time. My question would be, what is more important, AI or industries? What is the impact of prioritizing the one over the other, and how to proceed in this, well, lay of the land, so to say?
See, for us as a, right, say, technology provider, both industry specific, right, say vertical specific, say enablement through both partners and, say, our own, right, industry versions, right, where we co-create with our customers, we co-create with our, right, say, champions, I would call it, say, and we partner with them, and then we co-create. So that is, right, and then the AI, right, say both are, because AI we see as a complete transformation, like, say, how from on-prem we transform to cloud, then, right, say now AI is like, right, say that kind of a major transformation. That means it's going to impact across industries. So it is not like, right, say one piece of software is going to be impacted with AI and the other is not impacted. So and across industries. And we look at this as a moment of opportunity for us. Say, for example, when the cloud opens up, right, back in 2004, we looked at our online word processor as an opportunity, right? Say, I don't think anybody could have built a on-prem, say, word processor and spreadsheet and presentation have any usage, because say it was all done and dusted. So, but when cloud opportunity came in, the first thing we saw is a lot of opportunity for players, vendors like us. So we could go and offer something differentiated. We could actually go and allow self-service for our customers, make the product-led growth itself was started during the cloud era, So we made it easy, We reduced the barrier to entry. So we made it easy for customers to sign up and then use it, pay online and then use it, So we looked at that as an opportunity. Now with AI, that's the same thing we are looking at, So it's going to there is going to be a lot of programmer productivity, as Sridhar was talking yesterday, and we are saying how do we enable this, Say the whole lot of programmers work we have, and how do we enable productivity for them, and through that, how do we extend our offering towards different verticals, and also say use the AI across these verticals, because see we don't look at say AI in the sense of okay, it is separate, then you enable it, and then it is not say existing product plus AI. So from the beginning, we have always looked at it as say we call it the invisible AI. So as a consumer, if I'm seeing say if I go to browse e-commerce site, there are recommendations that comes from AI, So same way we show best time to contact, we show best channel to contact, we show say responses which are not good, we suggest responses. So all those are say contextually integrated into our platforms and products, different products. So you don't have to go and enable Zia. You don't have to say do extra work to get the AI to work for you, So that way, we are finding more opportunities where how do you embed AI deeply. So for example, even today morning I was looking at a demo where AI was co-creating the workflows. That means, say the prompt is just create me a workflow. Then AI is actually taking the user through the process of creation. So wherever you think the AI is doing a mistake, you can actually go and say, no, this is not what I want, So that means, the whole visual experience was actually fascinating, So these are all the explorations we are doing, So and this is very exciting, and we want to bring this across our products, across our industries, and see how we could actually enable this transformation for our customers, across different industries.
You, as we've said, you're coming out of the product management end of Zoho. Are you going to find it challenging to have to step back and do more CEO-related things, or do you think you can stay hands-on with the products?
So, see, there is one preference, and then one say what you may have to do. So my preference is to stay closer to the product, and say because we look at it say the product is the fundamental, what directions we set, what vision we set, and so that's going to continue to be the focus. So, and because working more closer with customers. So for example, in last couple of years, I've been working closer with larger enterprises in say India. So I learned a lot about say the challenges that they face, and so, and it's also exciting to learn these across different markets, because as we go expanding say on geo, see different geographies and seeing different verticals, so what different industries are there, understanding the regulatory framework, understanding the compliance, so all those are say it broadens the understanding, and then that has to go back to our product direction, so the platform direction, so that we succeed in this say in this transformation. So I don't see myself as transitioning to the new role. I see that as a continuity to what I'm doing, and I hope I could do that more.
Which actually leads to something quite fascinating. So, I mean, you got a great team. So this is amazing to see. Now, this team works also that great because it's very independent, very decentralized as an organization. Now, decentralization is a concept in businesses that is, let's say, a double-edged sword. It gives incredible power, but it's like herding cats. Yeah. So if there is not a kind of let's say, a jungle gym, so a climbing frame that helps people walking into the same direction, ideally at a similar pace even. So now, where do you see the limits of this high degree of decentralization that you work, and how does this specific culture that Zoho as a company has shape the organization and fuels your innovation?
So see, right, this is a very good question because decentralization is part of our, right, say the DNA. And if you look at this, say even this, right, say transition, say Sridhar taking a new role. So internally for us, it's just a continuity because Sridhar has been focusing on these technology, right, say diving deep on, like, right, say he get to choose what client framework we use. So it's always like that, right? Say he get to choose like what databases we use, like, right? Say that means that's something he has always been doing, right? And then this decentralization has enabled us, for example, right? Say I have been focusing on what I have been focusing on, and say different, right? Say for example, Raju has been focusing on, right? Say Vijay, right? So all of our leadership, say across different regions, so they were all focusing on, like, right? Say it's always not like, oh, okay, there is a centralized decision making, and then, right? Say we right? So we look at even our own development. Say if you look at the product development, where we call there is an exploration phase. Say in AI, we are now in the exploration phase, and we allow people to explore. So we because we want a bottom up approach to innovation, right? For coming up with ideas. So we don't want to centralize, and then we don't want to say that everything comes from top down, because that's not possible. So that means, right, we explore, and then we allow people to make mistakes. We don't try to avoid mistakes, right? So we want to build a mistake tolerant culture than a mistake avoidance culture, right? So that's been how we have grown, and we continue to do those. And you asked about, say, what is the limits of decentralization, right? Say, and as I said, right, we explore, and then we say consolidate. So as we explore, we learn, and then we consolidate, right? Say that's how we have been doing. So even in cloud, even in technology, right? So wherever when new things come, we explore, and then we, right, say we agree upon what works, what doesn't work, and then we, right, say we set the direction, right? So so that means we most of the decisions we take, we can't decide what we have to do and then start doing it, right? Some of these in areas where right, say there is a lot of things are changing, because see, it's not just about us, what we think and what we do. It's also about the markets, right? Say you saw Sridhar's presentation yesterday, right? The AD was DC. So nobody expected that. Nobody knows that, right? There is something that is coming. So that means that pushes the change. Say mobile. So nobody expected touch phones to come, right? Smartphones to come in 2007, and how it's going to impact the business software market. So nobody expected that. So that means it's not about, okay, we are just right. Say it's not only our own decisions to make the changes, right? It's also about responding to the markets, responding to the customer demands, understanding the customers, right? So understanding their challenges, and then aligning us towards that. And I don't think any one person could do it, right? Say seeing from one lens of it, right? So we need multiple people doing it, and then, right, so we need multiple experiments. As I said, we might make some mistakes, but as long as it doesn't ship to the customer, we are perfectly fine.
And we just have an expanding vision.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mindful of your time in particular, I'm quite sure you are totally not in demand here.
We were so lucky to have you with us.
So as we are approaching the top of the hour, so we usually end this with famous last words, which are of course not terminal, but last for the show. So what we are quite interested in, and hope our audience is interested in too. So what do you think of where you would lead Zoho to in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to stand as Zoho as a company? What's your vision for Zoho as a company in 5 years? What's probably more a mission in that time frame?
Yeah. So see, we want to add value to our customers. So right at the basic level, we want to say add a lot of value to our customers, and then we want to say lower the friction for say customers in non-tech industries, and the other things that we do, like say we want to serve the unserved, say that means like say we, for example, we go to the rural, we train people on implementation. So we try to see like say how more and more people come into technology, how more and more people say engage in technology, and then say how do we help them do that better, so on both the say customer side, we want to be useful to them, so we want to add value to them. So, and on the say social front, we definitely want to empower the served and unserved, so that's how that's where we want to go. And so all other things, say in terms of bringing operational efficiency to the customers are all like say standard business practices, or the business values that we drive with us, so that remains the same. So that's how I see it, so we want to be a valuable company.
Cool. Marvelous.
Thanks.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this.
Yeah, we seem
Thank you,
to have reached the end of our session.
Okay.
So, Mani, thank you so much for choosing to join us today and giving us some insight into what the new CEO is thinking. Thanks also to Ram Ramamoorthy, who joined us earlier. If he's still listening, thanks a lot, man. Thank you also to our audience for listening in and putting up with us in a new environment. Tune in next week when we dive into how AI changes the future of work with our guest and friend, Christy Tupper. Hopefully you'll be able to join us for that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye and take care.